hits the bed or my head hits the pillow. But what if we told you that sleeping instantly may not actually be a sign of great sleep health? This morning, we're unpacking what good sleep really looks like, from sleep patterns, sleep hygiene to how quality sleep impacts everything from your gut, immunity, heart, hormones, mood, and also mental health. We'll also be asking if we're unknowingly training our bodies to survive on poor sleep, and more importantly, how do we fix it? And then on the Breakfast Club, we will be once again showcasing young mountaineering prodigy Kamya Karthikeyan and her journey so far. She's now reached the official start point of her South Pole expedition. We get you all the details this morning. And finally, then we move on to the final moments, the countdown for launch of ISRO's Bluebird Block 2 mission, which has begun in Sriharikota. Weighing 6,100 kilograms, the communication satellite would be the heaviest payload to be placed into the low Earth orbit. That and much more coming up. A lot of expert voices this morning on the Breakfast Club. Well, sleep is something most of us think we understand. Close your eyes, lie down, wake up the next day. But doctors say how we sleep, how fast we fall asleep, and how little sleep we normalize are quietly affecting our health in so many ways. Let's start with something many people brag about: falling asleep the moment your head hits the pillow. It sounds impressive, but doctors say falling asleep too fast can actually mean the body is exhausted and running on sleep debt. On the other hand, lying awake for long periods can point to stress or an anxious mind. How fast you fall asleep is not a flex, but a signal. There's also the idea that sleeping less makes you more productive. A lot of public figures say they get by on very little sleep. Doctors don't agree though. They say most adults need more sleep than they admit, and cutting sleep regularly causes damage that doesn't show up immediately. You may feel fine today, but the strain builds up quietly and slowly. Sleep is not passive time. This is when the brain clears waste, it locks in memory and keeps emotions in check. Poor sleep affects focus, decision making, and mood. Chronic sleep loss has been linked to anxiety and low mood, and the relationship works both ways. Bad sleep affects mental health, and mental health affects sleep. The body also pays a price. Sleep regulates appetite, repairs tissues, and supports immunity. When sleep is cut short repeatedly, inflammation rises and metabolic stress increases. This is why sleep loss is linked to weight gain, heart strain, and overall weaker immunity. A lot of this comes down to sleep hygiene. That simply means daily habits around sleep. Irregular bedtimes confuse the body clock. Late night screen use delays the brain's sleep signal. Caffeine, heavy metals, noise, light, all of this affects sleep depth. Fixing habits often fixes sleep. There are plenty of myths around sleep. Instant sleep does not always mean good sleep. Alcohol does not improve sleep quality. Sleep problems are not just in the mind, and short sleep is not a sign of high performance. So there's lots to decode this morning and really take you through what makes for a perfect sleep that's healthy for your mind, healthy for your heart, and for your health. Let's bring in our first guest this morning. We're quickly going to go across to Dr. Neha Agarwal. She is a consultant psychiatrist at Adayu Mindfulness Fortis Hospital. Good morning, Dr. Neha. Let's really begin with a mental health story.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Dr. Neha, firstly tell us, how does it work? A lot of us do know that if you're low on sleep, you're going to have a bad day. Next morning you wake up, you're not going to feel active enough. But is anxiety, stress, signs of depression the cause, or is it something that happens to you when you're low on sleep or constantly putting yourself through that? Which one is the greater force?
It is both ways. Sleep deprivation can cause irritation, it can cause mood swings, it can cause lower cognition, decreased reflexes. And similarly, decrease in sleep is also a cause, is also a symptom in most of our psychiatric disorders, like anxiety, depression, schizophrenia. So it is both ways. Sleep deprivation could be a cause of certain diseases and could also be a symptom.
And doctor, have you had people come to you complain that they've been taking their medications that they've been maintaining a healthy lifestyle and yet they're going through this problem over and over again? And in those cases, what has your specific advice been?
See, certain problems are due to our own routine or sleep hygiene problems. It could be we are doing late nights, or there are shift workers are there who are doing night or day shifts regularly, interchangeably. Or there could be jet lags, or students who might sleep late due to studies, or adults also nowadays because of screens. So this could disrupt the sleep hygiene. But even if you maintain everything and then also you are facing problems with the sleep, then there could be some there are multitudes of problems that could be like physical problems, some CNS problems, brain related problems. There could be pain, and in our cases, in psychiatric cases, most of the diseases, they have this core symptom of sleep decrease. The sleep decreases in depression. In anxiety, there is later onset of sleep because of ruminating thoughts, worry. In schizophrenia also, the REM sleep is disturbed. So basically, in all these things, these things can happen.
We'll try and go across to another expert to really tell us what happens inside a brain when we're typically going through all of these problems. All right, we do have our second guest with us now. Dr. Shamsher Dwivedi, Director of Neurology at Max Super Speciality Hospital. Good morning, Dr. Dwivedi.
Morning.
Dr. Neha was just highlighting how your mind reacts, when you're in an anxious state, when you're stressful, and how that directly affects your sleep. But take us all the way to the brain activity that's taking place as and when that happens. So when you're stressed out, when you're anxious, what really goes on inside your head that doesn't allow you to fall asleep or get into the deep sleep mode?
So there is something known as the sleep architecture, and we have alternating cycles of NREM and REM sleep throughout the night, and there are 5 such cycles usually in a normal individual. But whenever there is an element of stress, what happens is that the secretion of melatonin, which is the sleep hormone, that gets disturbed, which leads to difficulty in sleep induction as well as maintaining these sleep cycles as per the normal schedule, and that leads to lot of hormonal as well as hormonal, because the endocrine glands get affected, and it also affects the neurons, the activity of the neurons and the level of neurotransmitters in the brain, and that leads to poor quality of sleep. And the best way to know it is when you get up in the morning and if you don't feel fresh, something is wrong.
Does that also happen, Dr. Dwivedi, when you're breaking away from your consistent patterns of sleep? So for instance, you're crashing at 9 p.m. one day, you're dragging it till 1 a.m. the next night. Do you think that causes the imbalance too?
So whenever the biological clock or the circadian rhythm, as we say, gets disturbed, that leads to difficulty in sleeping, and this is an essential part of sleep hygiene, that you should go to your sleeping time every night more or less consistently at the same time. If you keep an erratic sleep schedule, that disturbs the biological clock in the brain, and that leads to insomnia and also to various other physical comorbidities like cardiac diseases, diabetes, hypertension, etc.
Dr. Dwivedi, now let's get to that one interesting fact that has sparked this conversation, which has allowed us to cover all of these aspects all in one. But Dr. Dwivedi, why are researchers and health experts now pointing to this one pattern of how you must not be proud if you're falling asleep instantly? A good sign, a healthy sign of a good quality sleep is actually sleeping once you're giving yourself the 10-20 minute time on hitting the bed. Why do you think that is being said? What's the science there?
So the science says that if you are hitting the bed and you instantaneously go to sleep, that means one is sleep deprived. So this is a indirect clinical sign that one is sleep deprived, and that sleep deprivation in the long run will lead to lot of other maladies, and which would lead to has a direct impact on the longevity too. So it is a sign of sleep deprivation, and as I said earlier, there is a pattern which the sleep maintains throughout the night, and that is known as the sleep architecture. And in that normal architecture, it takes 10 to 20 minutes to go to sleep, and if one is instantaneously going into sleep, that means one is not getting enough sleep.
Dr. Neha, there are also several people who are exhausted, possibly can afford a midday nap, but are just not able to put their mind to rest. They're not able to sleep. So they're in bed, but they're not being able to completely get out of that hyperactive mode. Why do you think that happens?
We have a center known as amygdala, which is like the emotional regulation center, and we have this prefrontal cortex, which which are kind of emotional brakes. So there is a discordance between them, and we are like emotionally charged, or we are having too much on our platter, and we are totally anxious or stressful. Many thoughts are ruminating. So all these things can disrupt our sleep. It increases the cortisol, it increases the norepinephrine, and keeps us in wakeful state. So if you are worried or stressed, you might not get easily sleepy or sleep.
And Dr. Dwivedi, what can one do to fall asleep when they're in that hyperactive mode, or they're stressed, or they're constantly thinking, or they're thinking about the next big task they have to do once they wake up? So a lot of people say soft music, meditative music, sounds that make you feel nice. But is there any other way to go about it if one were not to opt for any of the above?
So the medical recommendation is that don't try to sleep. Some people say, I was trying sleeping, and that is not a good thing to do. The more you try, the more anxious you become. So don't try to sleep. So if you don't get sleep in maybe 10 to 20 minutes, or maybe at the most 30 minutes when you go to bed, then get up and maybe do some light reading in a shaded lamp. And the most important part of sleep hygiene is that there should not be any direct light to the eyes after 6 p.m. because that is a sleep killer. So in a shaded lamp, read something which is light. By light, I mean it should not be too stimulating like a crime thriller. So you read something for a while and then again go back to bed, and that might do wonder, because that will distract you from the anxiety producing thoughts. So a light reading in a shaded light after 30 minutes would be my recommendation. And maybe music too, if that gives somebody relief and a distraction from those thoughts. But reading, I feel, is a better mode to distract your mind from anxious thoughts.
Dr. Dwivedi, now many would say the right way or the right approach for me is watching something before I hit the bed. Would you say that's a big no? That's the opposite.
No.
It's counterproductive.
Yeah, it is counterproductive because white light kills sleep, and because it reduces the secretion of melatonin in the brain, and that the sleep hormone of the brain is not secreted from the pineal gland if you expose yourself to bright light. And all the screens, whether blue light or the white light on the LED screens, on the televisions, they are sleep killers.
Dr. Dwivedi, diet, exercise and good sleep are spoken of in the same breath. Would you say that even if one of these were to be gone or not followed thoroughly, it would disrupt the whole cycle?
Yeah, I would say so. But if I am asked to choose, what would you like, whether a good sleep or exercise, I would choose sleep over exercise. And the worst thing is, when you exercise, when you are sleep deprived, that is worse, because your cortisol levels are already high, and by hitting the gym you are making it worse. So a good sleep is the first step, and the second comes the exercise. And if you are sleeping well, then your diet pattern improves, because hunger is associated with sleep. There are two hormones, leptins and ghrelins, which are the satiety and hunger hormone. If one doesn't sleep well, then you tend to do binge eating and put on weight. And the other hormones of the body also get disturbed, like cortisol, insulin, etc., and that leads to obesity. So sleep, I think, is the beginning where diet and exercise would fall into place if you sleep well.
I do have a follow-up. I'll come back to you, Dr. Dwivedi. Dr. Neha, if you could answer that question for us on what your recommendations are for someone who comes to you seeking advice, that I'm struggling with a lot of thoughts, and typically these thoughts come rushing to my mind just when I'm trying to slow down, I'm trying to put myself to sleep, and that does typically happen with a lot of people. What is your suggestion to them? How should they help themselves crash sooner, hit the bed, get a more peaceful kind of sleep?
We tell them to be more mindful, like they can concentrate on whatever is what they are feeling. They can concentrate on their breath work. They can do deep breathings. They should inhale for around 4-5 seconds, then hold the breath, and then exhale for 5 to 8 seconds. This helps in shifting their focus from the thoughts to the breathing. Also, there are several progressive muscle relaxation exercises which we teach our patients, which also helps in the induction of sleep.
Dr. Dwivedi, an actor very recently remarked that he sleeps for about 6 hours in a 24-hour cycle, and health experts have warned against this kind of a sleep pattern. Why do you think that is? Also, typically as you age, a lot of people say that I'm not being able to sleep past 6 to 7 hours at max. Is that an unhealthy sign?
So largely our sleep pattern and our sleep requirement is modulated by our genetics. More or less, how much sleep one needs is decided when you are born, because your genes decides that. There is a small percentage of people which are genetically endowed with the ability to carry on normal routine activity without fatigue with less than 6 hours of sleep, and that is a genetic variant, and it is familial. Many people, other members of the same family might be having that trait. But trying to modify your sleep time and saying that such and such person sleeps only 5 hours and he performs very well, he has more time to work, is not the right strategy, because your sleep time, your healthy sleep time and your sleep requirement is decided by your genes, and it is decided at the time of your birth. So if you get up in the morning, and again I am reiterating, if you are not feeling fresh and you just sleep 6 hours or 5 hours during the night and feel happy about it, that is not a good sign. Your sleep requirement is more, and then that will lead to micro sleeps, and that also will lead to many health hazards, as we have been discussing.
And there are those who sleep for 8 hours, sometimes even touch 9 hours of sleep, and still don't feel fresh the next morning. Why do you think that's happening, Dr. Dwivedi?
So the first thing I would ask that person is, or his partner or roommate, that does he snore at night? Because obstructive sleep apnea is one of the major causes why even after 9 hours of sleep, a person feels sleepy the whole day, and when he gets up, he or she doesn't feel fresh. But besides sleep apnea, which is one of the commonest cause of this symptom, this means that there is something wrong, and then I will start delving into various causes. And besides obstructive sleep apnea, I will look into the second question would be that, is he taking any drugs or does he drink at night? The common notion that alcohol is good for sleep, I think one of the causes of this kind of a feeling in the morning, what we call as hangover, is because many people, they are under the false belief that if they drink at night, that will lead to a healthy and good sleep. and that is the second most common cause why people feel so. So these are the two questions, prominent questions, which sums up almost 60% of the patients: snoring, excessive snoring, and usage of alcohol at night. These are the two reasons why one feels has a brain fog in the morning.
And Dr. Dwivedi, we need to wrap up, but very quickly, a lot of those tuned in would be wondering at what point should they stop treating as struggling with sleep as an everyday problem and actually start treating it as a medical issue? What are the signs they must watch out for and reach out to their doctor?
If you don't feel fresh in the morning, if you get bouts of sleep while sitting in your workplace or classroom, and if you feel there is difficulty in memorizing your day to day, if your working memory is reduced and if your retention is reduced, that is the time when you have to meet a doctor, because this is now affecting your cognition. And over a period of time, it is well known that if you don't sleep well and remain in this state for a long time, it increases your chances of getting Alzheimer's and other dementias.
So if you were to give a number to all age groups that this is the bare minimum that you must put your mind to rest, so how many hours of sleep would that constitute?
Average from teenager or children might need more, but teenager onwards, I think 7 hours of sleep is bare minimum which one should get. That is an average. This is a bell-shaped curve. There might be, as I said, there is a rare variant of less sleepers, and even without sleeping less, their brain gets adequate rest. That is a separate category, but 7 hours is what I would recommend.
So even if you're feeling comfortable, do this huge favor to yourself and at least try and sleep for 7 hours a day. Thank you so much, Dr. Dwivedi, Dr. Neha, for joining us and sharing all your thoughts and what your experience so far has taught you. We head into a very quick break. With that coming right up, we shift our focus to the story of a young mountaineering prodigy, Kamya Karthikeyan. We've been tracking her journey very, very closely. She's now reached the official start point of her South Pole expedition. More details up next. And the countdown for the launch of ISRO's Bluebird Block 2 mission begins in Sriharikota. We'll be joining you with all the details in just a bit.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Now shifting our focus to Assam, the state government has suspended internet services in Karbi Anglong and West Karbi Anglong districts due to fresh violence linked to an eviction drive. Clashes broke out between groups, resulting in at least 8 people injured, prompting police to resort to lathi charge and tear gas shelling to disperse the crowd. Violence is connected to a long-standing demand by Karbi tribal bodies to evict encroachers from professional grazing reserve and village grazing reserve lands. 9 individuals had been on a hunger strike for 2 weeks, demanding evictions before being taken to Guwahati for medical treatment, sparking widespread anger. Prohibitory orders under Section 163 of BNSS have been imposed in West Karbi Anglong, banning gatherings and enforcing a night curfew. Chief Minister Hemant Biswa Sarma has assured that the government will address grievances through dialogue, while Director General of Police Harmeet Singh has urged protesters to refrain from any violence.
Sir, what really has transpired? You've been sent by the Assam government to talk to these protesters. What has transpired? You were there in the day.
The protesters didn't belong to any specific organization, but as a civil society, as Karbi community, they protested. They demanded eviction of encroachers in PGR and BGR land. And this continued for several days. And then there was a scheduled discussion yesterday with the CM of Karbi Anglong. But meanwhile, on health ground, the protesters were shifted to Guwahati Medical College. So the discussion could not take place. And this carried a wrong message to the people that they have been arrested, protesters have been arrested. So that led to some unfortunate incident like torching the house of CM, etc. I reached there and I interacted. I sat down with the protesters and then the villagers also joined me. So around more than 1,000 people were there. So we discussed everything. And after the discussion, it was decided that a tripartite discussion will take place soon within this month. Because you see, land and revenue is a council issue.
Correct.
It is not a state government issue.
Correct.
So we do not have any role to play. But then they said that there are broader and wider issues involved.
Welcome back. Young mountaineering prodigy Kamya Karthikeyan has now reached the official start point of a South Pole expedition after conquering the Union Glacier camp. She boarded a flight that flew her deep into the Antarctic interior. The pilot dropped her at 89 degrees south. This is where the skiing begins. Over the next 11 days, Kamya will pull a 70-kilo sled across roughly 120 kilometers, navigating by compass alone, sub-zero temperatures. This is one of Kamya's mission Sahas. Here are more details.
This is day one of the expedition, and today morning we flew out at around 11:30 in the afternoon from Union Glacier camp, and it was a flight of 3.5 hours or so to get to the 89th degree where the pilot dropped us off. We started walking. Today was a shorter walk so that we could get the body into the rhythm of just doing this kind of work every single day.
And well, shifting our attention entirely to the world of auto, Overdrive has driven the Maruti Suzuki Vitara twice, first in the UK and now on Indian roads. After experiencing it in very different conditions, this is the detailed real-wide take on Maruti Suzuki's all-electric SUV. Take a look at this Overdrive verdict.
If you are a regular in Overdrive, this car needs no introduction then. This is the Suzuki e-Vitara for those of you who are tuning in new. Now, we recently drove this car in the UK and now it's here on Indian soil. So obviously we are going to talk about how it differentiates itself from its UK cousin. But more importantly, let me give you a quick recap of what this car is all about. This is the first all-electric from Suzuki in the recent times. It's called the e-Vitara, which means it's not really borrowing much from its Brezza or its Grand Vitara cousins. This one is purpose-built to be a battery electric vehicle. There'll be two battery packs on offer, 49 and 61 kilowatt hour. India doesn't get an all-wheel drive setup, which means you only get one single motor which is driving the front wheels. And now let's talk about how it behaves in the Indian conditions. Now, electrics, they're inherently very silent. Right now we are driving in some beautiful locations on the outskirts of Delhi where you don't see too much crowd, but even in the crowded parts of Delhi, the noise insulation of this car is really good. Despite all the silence inside the cabin, you are not often disturbed by all the honking or the thuds of the potholes and all the chaos all around you, the noise insulation is actually quite good. So if you want to enjoy the silent bit of an EV, you can do that pretty well in the e-Vitara, even in our conditions. Continuing on the NVH aspect, we are running MRF Wanderers right now, and these are low resistance tires, of course, to maximize the overall EV range. But even on cobbled surfaces or broken roads or even smooth tarmac or even smooth concrete surfaces, the tire noise or the road noise coming up is not too bad. So like I said, you want to enjoy that silent cabin, you do that with the e-Vitara quite well. While the ride quality and the noise and harshness levels give you the feeling of this being a more premium product compared to whatever else we've seen from the Nexa lineup, barring the Invicto of course, you do get a feeling that the cabin, the elements, the plastics, they're still cut from the same cloth as the Brezza or the Grand Vitara. Now some of the common touch points, like what you see here on the dashboard, these are soft touch materials, but you get scratchy plastics there. The plastics down below, they feel a bit low rent. That said, there's not a huge quality difference that I can see between the India spec car versus the UK spec car. The car gets off the mark quite cleanly. There is no sudden jerk, no sudden surge of torque, so the learning curve is not going to be too steep. Even the in-gear acceleration is quite good.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Now shifting our focus to Assam, the state government has suspended internet services in Karbi Anglong and West Karbi Anglong districts due to fresh violence linked to an eviction drive. Clashes broke out between groups